You look a little further in, it's floating up, it's left behind what looks like curtains and draperies up there. And behind that, that huge half dome. It took a lot of water, a lot of years flowing in here for that to build up that big. And below that, we have got rimstone dams and pools, and those continue all the way to 3/4 of a mile. Now them dams and pools, well, these dams, basically what they are is bathtub rings. Every time it floods, when the water recedes, little rims get left behind, just like when you pull the plug in your tub. So you might reconsider cleaning the ring out of your tub. Have to see how pretty it gets after a while. Back to my favorite part though, people. They rode on that formation. Matter of fact, we get to looking, they rode all over it, but it's okay, we figured out who did it. We got names and we got dates. What we found out there, well, 1830s, 1840s, 1850s, we got a lot of original pioneers wrote their name out there. Wasn't long after pioneers got here, the Civil War broke out, and well, we got their signatures out there mixed in the layers too. Most of them right out there, right where that dark stain is. Now, if you look at the top there, there's an A, and well, to the left of that, you can't see it, but there's a Q. To the right, well, smallin. Quincy A. Smallin, he was born in 1852. He wasn't old enough to go off and fight in war like his brothers, cousins, and in-laws, but I bet he saw the soldiers. His name's right there with the soldiers' name carved all around it. You got to remember, they lived here during the war. Now, that's all neat, but that's all new stuff. Beneath that, pictographs and Indian drawings. The oldest stuff probably be these steps right here carved in long ago by the Indians. This is why the pioneers called it the Indian ladder. Up and over the top they went, that's how they went back in the cave. And the reason they carved in and went that way, bridge wasn't here back in, pool of water. Well, right now it's about 6 foot deep. Once you know that, the ladder makes more sense, but we'll take the bridge. I want to get my boots wet, makes my feet sore. Now Schoolcraft, when he came here, he wandered up the stream bed, came in the cave, and his description, you know what, step by step, you can pretty well tell everything he saw, and things haven't changed except for the handrails, sidewalks, and electric lights. Things in the cave don't change a whole lot. One thing that's different than when he came here, well, when he come up to here, he said he'd take a boat to go explore the cave any further. Apparently that's been a wet winter. Now the Civil War, that wasn't so wet. Matter of fact, on a Union map, you'll find the name Fountain Cave wrote where our cave is. Apparently they didn't know the smallin name, so, well, it was a source of water, so they wrote Fountain on that. Now, Schoolcraft stood in this area here, and we know that because, well, in his journal, he describes it. Did you see the sun lift? Not yet. Right there. See that circle right there? If you look close, there's rays cut on the outside. On those shorter days, when the sunlight floods back in the cave, the reflection of the stream can be seen to that stalactite back there, and one of the brightest concentrations of light is the face of this formation. And dead center is where somebody carved that sun lift long ago to commemorate that event. Hope y'all aren't disappointed, but I'm pretty sure we're nowhere near the first folks been in the cave. But kind of neat to know folks been coming here a long, long time. And neat to share with you that a lot of them saw it. Well, we're on the sidewalk though. You want to try it without the sidewalk? Not today. Yeah, your tennis shoes are too nice for that. Now that pool really is really deep. And well, that pool there, you know what we call it? Hot tub. But it's not. You got to remember, our water's 54 degrees. That water ain't warm enough to jump in on the hot stage. You can ask my parents about that. Now this up here is part of our flow stone, and this is smooth because the water flows really fast down there, leaves that deposit like stucco. We call that the milk bottom. Behind it, well, our formations are much rougher because the water flows slower back here. Kind of a reflection of the flow rate of our water in the cave. So is it something else too. The water comes in, flows down the wall, and it's not flowing right now, is it? It doesn't always flow. When the water stops flowing across the formations, rather than being waxy and shiny looking, they begin to puff up, become opaque. it crystallizes, and what that means is our formations only grow part-time. So when you look back at that ending ladder, it just went from being really old to really older. Now, I know that's not proper grammar, but it works real good in sentence for planting. Oh, see that right there? You know what that is? That's a frog, a pickerel frog. You know why they're in the cave? For drought. They're coming up where it's cool and wet. Pool right here is probably 3.5 to 4 foot deep right now. I haven't measured it since our big flood last spring, but I'm just going to guess on that. I know it's deep enough to get you really wet. Now, see that white crawdad right there? There's two of them. There's one there on that rock. A small one and a medium one. Oh, there's another right there. So there's three. Those are bristly cave crayfish. Now they are white, they have no eyes, they have no skin color because they live in absolute darkness. And that animal is so rare, well, I think there's some cave biologists in our state haven't seen one before. Dr. David Asham from University of Missouri Western up at St. Joe, well in 2008 he started coming down here and doing surveys on our crayfish. Just last week, surveyed and captured and recorded, I think it was 23 specimens. You know what? You need to have a good population of an animal that's only found in 9 counties in Missouri and Arkansas, and we still don't know very much about him. But he has collected a lot of data, and there's several grad students at universities doing several other studies in the cave. Now, surface crayfish lives 3 years. The scientists suspect they could live as much as 30 or 40 years, and there's some scientists speculate they could live as much as 100. You know what, we don't know any of that, but it is neat to know we don't know much about those animals, but they do become very special the more we know. The Latin name, Cambaricetosis. The common name, bristly cave crayfish. Now remember, these are bathtub rings, and this one's growing right now. That water is flowing across there, leaving mineral loads, and can you see it getting taller? Well, not really, but it is. Now, if you remember the pickles and cucumbers we saw, right up here is how they all start growing. Water drips out of one spot, makes a little ring, grows into what they call a soda straw, and right back here you can see we've got a lot of them, but in our cave they don't get very long before they start getting thicker and thicker, and they turn into that turnip, pickle, or beehive shape. That's our stalactites hanging tight to the ceiling. Stalagmites, well, don't bother looking in our creek bed. Remember our floods, wall to wall roaring through here? There ain't nothing in the Ozarks in a creek bed lasts very long. It gets pushed around, washed around, bumped against, and we don't have stalagmites down there, but we do got some. Our sidewalk got built in 1962, so that stalagmite right there has been growing for 56 years. There's another in there, another in there, another. Yeah, they're not real impressive yet, are they? My grandson graduated kindergarten, pointed out to me this spring when he got graduated, he said, "Paul, you're older than the stalagmites in our cave." Where did he get a harsh statement like that? I don't know. I think his grandma taught him. Now, right up underneath all this flowstone right here is the first question mark on our map. We don't know where that goes, but I think it goes to the surface. We call it the Fox Passage because I don't know how many times I've come back in the cave and seen a fox in here. We see red fox, gray fox, different fox every time. Whenever they see me up in there, they go. Tracks go in, days go by, I've never seen tracks come out. So there's either a dead end back in there chock full of fox bones, or they're coming out somewhere else. I like to stay optimistic. I'm going to say somewhere else. That is unexplored wilderness. Now, we have not explored it yet because, well, we haven't had time. We've been back there quite a ways. Estimate about 3/4 of a mile, and that's still not the end. There's question marks on both sides. Over 7,000 caves we've found in Missouri so far, most of them just like this, and we still don't know where they go. We have got lots of wilderness all around us yet. Oh, there's another one of our bristly cave crayfish back there underneath that ledge. Another in there, didn't tell you they're not rare in our cave, did I? Need to know we've got a good population. The reason we do, sticks, leaves, walnuts, acorns, remember the hole the elephant fell in? Stuff still comes in. This organic matter comes in, and we've got a year-round food source for our cave animals. Most caves, the bats fly in when they start eating bugs in the summer, deposit the guano, and that begins the food cycle. But in our cave, we've got the bats plus all this other constant source throughout the year.
Is that where your bones are coming out?
That's where the bone, well, you know what did I find here? We did find a bird bone right here the other day. You never know after floods where stuff's gonna wind up rolling out. Oh, speaking of sharks, I know I wasn't, I just like saying that. It gets people's attention. And the reason I like to say it, well, right up here I found shark tooth one day. We can all bunch up here so everybody can see it, but right there is a shark tooth. Once we spotted that, when the paleontologists come, identified it, and we have now found and identified 6 shark teeth, 3 shark spines, 17 starfish, and these dark chunks are unidentified bones scattered all through our ceiling. Kind of neat to walk in the hill in the Ozarks, look up at the ceiling, and start seeing parts of the ocean animals everywhere. But if you hear any snoring, let me know, okay? You can hear it, do you? Watch your head on the right, those are rocks sticking out of the wall. Now this right here has been explored. I explored it myself. Pretty impressive tail, but it's not when you know it only goes 20 feet. Comes out just around the corner. Shows us how the cave was formed. Remember the bedding plane I mentioned? Well, you can see where the crack up there was, and this must have been the low spot where the water came from both sides, started carving its way down. This stopped up. When it did, the water came around the side here, finished carving our passageway out, and left us a little record of how it all started right there. That was the beginning of the cave. Now, right up here, this is what our pickles and cucumbers would look like if they was in the dark. There's no moss growing on the front of this stalactite right here. And if we go back in time, a drip of water turned into a soda straw, and you gotta wonder how many drips it takes for a soda straw to grow into a stalactite that big. You got a number? You think how many drips you think? Might be a little shy, but it's a start. You know what? I had a second grade girl one day tell me a gazillion.
I think it's 2 million.
2 million, okay. Well, you know what, we can take, you know what, I don't think anybody really knows, but what we do know, it takes a long time for a soda straw to collect that much mineral around it. Now this was close to the wall, so we got water coming out of the bedding plane, flowed right here and left some flowstone. So what we got here actually is an overachiever. Can't make up its mind whether it wants to be a stalactite or flowstone. What do you think, flowstone or stalactites winning? Okay, I think you're right. We just call it the tooth, that way nobody gets confused.
It looks like a tooth.
It does, doesn't it? It looks like a big old molar hanging up there. Now over here we have got wet rocks underneath about 16 inches of water right there. That's what your water's supposed to look like. If you can see the water, that means there's something in it. Now, right up here is the end of the trail, but it is not the end of the cave. The cave goes on, we don't know how far really. There's question marks on both sides all the way back. Now we do take tours past this. We call it our wild tour. You want to go back there?
No?
We put on a wetsuit,
These on?
rubber boots,
What?
You wanna go back there?
I can tell you how to do it if you want.
another day.
Oh, you do?
Okay, well here's how you do it. How old are you?
9.
9. You got plenty of time.
The code is 10.
You gotta be 12. So he's got 2 years, you got 3 years to save enough money to buy mom, dad, or grandma and grandpa a ticket. When you buy their ticket, you can come with them. And what we'll do, we'll put a helmet on you, a headlight. We'll step off the end here, start wading through pools, climbing over dams, go 1,400 feet, spend a couple hours in bragging rights. Nobody gets muddy in our cave. Now everybody gets wet, but nobody gets muddy. This clean gravel stream bed goes all that way. I love taking folks back there. Remember I told you we find bones sometimes? Yep, our guests are with us when those things happen. And there's a shark spine in the wall back there. There's lots of neat stuff to see. Now, see the rock looks like a bear sticking out of the wall on the right-hand side there? Looks like Yogi Bear. Dirty line on his chin was the high water mark until last spring. Record rainfall, first time ever. Well, that bear went underwater, and so did our sidewalk. Now, he probably went underwater in the past, but this sidewalk got built in 1962, and as far as we know, the water had never been over the top of it before. And last spring, it got up about knee high. It was really loud back here. Now, the Indians went further than where we're at. When they went back there, you got to remember, they didn't have a sidewalk, and they also did not have a flashlight. That's probably why the Indian on that plaque over there looks nervous. You know what? I would be nervous too if I stand in that water down there and my only light was a flame on the end of a stick. Everybody watch a rock looks like a bear sticking out of the wall right there. I'm going to slip back here and turn the light off. We can see what the Indian saw. You heard his torch go, and he saw, he messed up. What a predicament. But turn around and look where we came from. And remember, I told you we wasn't going in the dark. We ain't in the dark, are we? Matter of fact, we could go just a little bit further, turn around and still see which way's out, as long as it's daytime. But you come back here at night, it's dark. You gotta remember, that's sunlight working its way back here. And on them shorter days during the solstice event, we've actually seen beams of light coming around the corner there. Light has a big effect on this cave even further than where we're at. Now, does anybody got a seashell collection? Okay, mine's better. You know how I know mine's better? I got more. Yeah, this ceiling goes about a mile back there, and that one layer is exposed, and in that layer we have got a lot of stuff. Horn coral shell, lip of a clam shell. That one there got broke, but it still counts. And then if you look closer, we got other things. We have got maybe the tooth of a manta ray. We've got Cheerios. We've got buttons. Not really. All these Cheerios, button, bolt, and screw looking things, segments of the stem of an animal known as a crinoid. They had a stack of Cheerios and went up to a head they called a calyx. On that calyx, there was arms waved around, caught food as it drifted by. Nickname for them, sea lily. And right there's the flower and stem of one still intact. That's our state fossil right there, the crinoid or the sea lily. And over here, I got a sea snail to show you.